Alright, so I slept on it. I slept on it. The thing that everyone should do. So I slept on it, and it's not that far from where I originally thought it should be. Gave myself a full 16 hours of the day after I slept, and additional hours before I decided to jump on. I thought about it, then I went over certain things in the game before I went live. I thought about it again some more. This ain't one of those games that could go beyond the halfway point in the sevens. Anyone who has above 7.5, the most I could see myself giving this game, if I want to jump on the bandwagon with everyone else, is 7.5. The most. I believe if someone has this beyond 7.5, it's bullshit. Where I originally had it at 7.2, that's accurate. But that's accurate for overall, not for personal. Personally, I think it deserves a little bit more points. Now, I was probably being unfair to the game due to the bad story. That's what I think. The bad, abrupt ending. That is not the ending. That ending is simply, what's the word for it? It's like clickbait, but it's not really. It's simply a representation of a continuation of like a series or an episode in television. This what this game felt like a long episode within a series or a series finale that's not really the finale, more like the episode right before the finale and it ended. And based on what I've heard, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good what they're going to do. The things that were supposed to be cleaned up, they're going to clean it up in DLC. Oh, man, I hope that's not the case. Because if it is the case, dear God, that will drop it down from the points that I decided to just give it two. I gave it 2 more points. 2 more points on my personal scoring. 2 more points. So the game is now at the 7.4. And from the 6.9 to a 7 after I slept on it. Because I know, regardless of how I felt with regards to the game, a lot of people aren't going to feel the same way I do about the game and might not credit it the way it deserves to be credited. And then there was people who don't use their brains are going to give it far more than it's supposed to. Um, but I do not see this game going beyond 7.5. And I believe it's completely unfair and bullshit when someone's giving it in the eights and in the high sevens, as if they didn't see all the problems with the game. I believe this game belongs in the low sevens. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It belongs in the low sevens. I gave it for my personal score in the low sevens, and that's where it belongs. Like even if I was wrong about the overall score, I wasn't wrong about my personal score from the beginning. This game ranges from anywhere from 7 to about 7.5. So when I scored originally as a 7.2, that was accurate. I'm just giving it an additional 2 more points added to it after I slept on it. Because the co-op did allow for characters to pick up items and use said items without me being a hog and hogging all the items. So items were distributed evenly towards all teammates. And it even said that in the game as well. And there's also the fact that you could cut off characters in the game from talking and other things that you could cut off. So those additional two things um, weren't necessarily enough to give it like 2 points, but then I rethought about it even more than that, And there was even one more thing that was added other than looting and cutting off voice from the characters if you don't want to hear them talk. Um, what was it? Oh yes, it was co-op play. Loading into co-op play didn't take as long as it did in the first Dead Island. Typically in the first Dead Island, you have to wait for a while till someone else loaded in. The loaded in time was as was equal to the load in time for From Software game. Like From Software is terrible when it comes to loading in characters into another person's world. Like it takes forever. Like more current games like Elden Ring and Sekiro, the lag wasn't that bad. But for the older games when they originally came out, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, it used to take forever. So with those three things added, that's the reason why when I slept on it, I thought about those three things, which I already considered as well, even at a 7.2. But those are actually very good things, especially in co-op, because the longer you wait for someone to connect to you, you might get pissed off and leave. And if you steal someone's item when they want to build something, you might get pissed off and leave. And then there's the factor of weapon modification. That's something that was done better as well in the game, but I already spoke with regards to that. So I really don't want to give it 7.4, but I know an honest opinion with regards to the game and cooling my head off after that bad ending. I realize the game is is far better than I thought, but not better as in it's great. Better that in better. What's the word for it? I'm trying to just get it across. It's more appealing. Yes, that's the word. It's more appealing than I expected it was going to be. After I played it in co-op, it was more appealing than I expected it to be. I thought this game was going to fail because it took so long. It didn't fail. It passed. But it didn't pass with flying colors. It just passed. And just pass games will always be in the sevens. So while people have this in the high sevens and eight category, I don't. I know those people who are just looking at majority of the good things, and it didn't cross their mind to think of all the bad things as well. That's because no one wants to think of all the bad things when it comes to anything. They want to only think of things positive, because if you think of things too bad and you're always upset, then you're being prejudiced towards the game. But there are two sides to every coin. You have to put on the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde hats. You have to put on Dr. Jekyll's hat, and you have to put on Mr. Hyde's hat, and then you have to put on your own hat. So there's three hats. So it's not just like two sides to a coin. It's like two sides to the coin, and then you're the person that's flipping the coin. Because the good side, the Dr. Jekyll, is not really a good guy, because he's the one experimenting to become Mr. Hyde. And Hyde is not somebody you want to be. But the person who's deciding to flip the coin is you, the player. So, not a terrible game, like I actually thought it would be. In all honesty, when I really rethink about why I got so upset, um, it really is because that ending was simply a gotcha moment, but it wasn't like a gotcha moment. They wasn't trying to say I got you. You fell for it. It's more like it's a setup for an obvious continuation to something that doesn't need to have a continuation. Like Dead Island 1 didn't need to have a continuation. Their story was done. Riptide was simply like a DLC attached towards those characters. But Riptide felt like its own thing as well. Like when you played Dead Island Riptide, you felt like you were playing a totally different game from Dead Island 1. But the Dead Island 1 characters were simply in Dead Island Riptide. But once that game was over, it was over. You didn't need to know anything about the dude anymore. That's it. Everything in those games felt like beginning, middle, and then end. They got in a helicopter. They took off. The disease was covered up. The incident was covered up. They went back to their lives. New story happens. Outbreak happens in LA. Is it the same disease from the island? Yes. How did it get onto LA? It got onto LA by a doctor experimenting on the disease and stuff. And then he decided to go crazy and test it on everybody because he found out that there is a cure for it, but it's a needle in a haystack cure. That's why I didn't like the story. This crazy dude decided to like kill millions of people because he know no one would volunteer. He knew millions of people would not volunteer to do this, and there was no way for him to get authorization to do this. So he had to sneakily do it. And then I'm assuming he asked for the military and asked for other people to quarantine the disease and made up some bullshit lie that it's the disease from the island. It just happened to got there, but he actually did it. So it's not like he was the creator of the disease originally. Um, or maybe he was. Because he did say 25 years ago he found that there was a problem. So maybe this guy was actually the original creator, Reuben Reed, Dr. Reuben Reed. And he did experiment on this stuff on this island before he went to mainland LA. Why he did not go back to another island to do experimentation and do LA, that's one of the reasons why the story was shitty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the story and play as a different character. Um, just to see how things are. But yeah, those were my thoughts with regards to Dead Island 2. And to be honest with you, I don't really need to play the game again. I know everything I need to know about the game. Um, but I really do need to unlock the final three characters. Um, and the only way to do so is to play at least to a certain point co-op with regards to every single one of these three characters. So I need to unlock the beginning of every single one of these characters in order to play forward. I don't really have to do it on a live stream, and maybe I shouldn't. But I needed to make this video with regards to what I truly found um, bad about the game. That got me in the mood to put it at the 6. But then calming down and thinking about it, it's still low. So it really hasn't changed my mind that much, even after I'm calmed down. It's still not that good. I mean, I'm going to play Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores about a few minutes from now. But I wanted to make this video so I could be accurate about this and probably play for about an hour to unlock all these characters. But I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't really need to do it. I just need to make this video so I could be 100% truthful about it. So I don't need to play Dead Island all over again. But I do need to emphasize the correct the correct summation of this. That's all. So I'm gonna end it right now. I didn't even need it to be like 15 minutes for me to explain this. I just had to rethink about every single thing from the very beginning, and why it is the way it is, and why I thought the way I did. And I'm pretty sure there are many more things that are wrong with the game. As much as I could find right, I'm pretty sure there are many things more that's wrong with the game. But I'm not going to go that deep. I'm going to keep it exactly where it is and leave it at that. I needed to make a video with regards to this, and I've made a video with regards to this. So that's it. That's it for Dead Island 2. It's off to Horizon of Forbidden West Burning Shores.